Hey, this is John Carlos, and The Big Lebowski is one of my favorite movies of all time, so I'm really excited that Funko made Pops from The Big Lebowski. There's 5 in this series, and I'm going to review all of them, so let's go check it out. Now here's a look at the basic artwork of all 5 figures. Here's the side art. And then just so you get an idea, here's what the back of one of them looks like. The dude goes through several outfits in the film, and all of them are really cool and worth making a figure of. There's like the little PJ pants and the gray hoodie. There's his yellow bowling shirt. There's the brown robe. But I think Funko picked the best one to go with because his little sweatery, roby thing is, I think, probably the most iconic look he went through in the film. And something I really, really dig, I dig unique sculpts that's not in the usual Funko Pop, you know, 2 arms and bent leg stand. It's got a lot of personality. It totally reads like the dude's attitude in a little stance, and I love that it comes with a little White Russian. This is like one of the best Funko Pops ever as far as like the style, the sculpt. I can't rave enough about like how cool this is. Also, the paint on his outfit here is really, really good. Also, the little etching of his shorts. This is really detailed with really clean paint. They did a great job capturing his shoes too, his little tacky sandals. I can't rave enough about this one. The sculpting and the paint on the goatee is great, and he's even got his little Funko dot eyes underneath his sunglasses. And I really, really dig the fact that, you know, some of these long-haired characters they'll just put some groove lines in, but his was particularly shaggy, and I think they did a great job sculpting all that shag. Love this figure. Walter turned out awesome too. I like that they did the half-closed eyelids. It gives a lot of attitude to a character who spends a lot of the movie being unnecessarily angry and yelling a lot. I think the eyebrows and all that communicate that a lot. And this is a really, really, really basic kind of pose, but for Walter it's appropriate. There's not some great iconic pose that they can manipulate their sculpt into. I think this speaks volumes for like Walter's style, and I dig it. Taking a closer look at the sculpting of this, the pockets all look great. Again, the paint on this is really clean. The way that the collar sticks out over the vest. The paint on his shoes looks really good. Even the little rivets here on the bowling bag. And they did a great job with the flat top. I like these little lines sculpted into the top. Really happy with how Walter turned out. It's simple, but very, very effective. Now here's a look at poor little old Donny. I think this is a really simple pose, but sometimes I think a simple pose can be really effective if it suits, you know, like a simple character. Which is why I think Donny and Walter just kind of standing, holding something, actually suits the Pop Vinyl figure quite well. But there's some really good details on this figure that are really worth sharing. The paint on his shirt, on the back here. Did not expect it to be that detailed. And then if you can see here, the sculpting on this bag has a lot of good little sculpting work, considering how tiny it is. Again, pretty unexpected, and I really, really dig it. While I'm zoomed in, let me just give you a little close-up of his White Russian, because that's a pretty cool little detail. Alright, moving back to Donny. I like the cut of his hair. They did a good job with the way it hangs and the way it's sculpted. And it's got pretty clean paint. I like what they did with his eyes, though. They did a good job capturing his eyes in this figure. You know, the Funko dots kind of limit, I mean, that's kind of the point, is there's a consistent style. But they've done a really good job as a company kind of capturing certain actors' eye features with just a line or just a certain amount of paint. Funko's doing a great job here. Sometimes a female Funko Pop's body will be smaller than a male counterpart. Sometimes they're full size. I don't know why Funko picks some to be full size and some smaller, like Princess Leia or Sally from Night Before Christmas, but Maude gets a smaller body, and it kind of suits her within this universe. It helps make Walter look bigger, and I think the sculpting on her ponytails looks really, really cool. And all the lines they included in her hair, they didn't need to include that. Or these the rivets on the helmet. There's nice little details that are being seen here. But let's take a closer look at her outfit, because the sculpting on the bowling ball boobs and her dress are really good. Even these little tiny dots, you can see that line the shoulder seam of her outfit. It's a really tiny little detail, but they did a great job with it. Now clearly her trident looks good, and the paint on it's good. And her sandals, tiny, tiny work being done there. but good work. I saw one that didn't have the sandal front shin piece painted, so if you're shopping, I recommend you take a look at the feet. Speaking of her feet, I dropped this when I first opened the package and just found this on the ground. She comes with a little stand for this hole that's on the bottom of her feet. However, we have a case of where the peg is too big for the hole. But luckily, she does stand just fine on her own. And lastly, we've got the pederast Jesus. Now, one of the things I like about him right off the bat is there's a lot of sculpting on his head going on. I was curious how they would sculpt his hairnet with his hair, and they really impressed me with just the amount of sculpting they did. As a company, the Funko Pops have become more complicated than when they, first started out with some of the earlier Marvel ones. But they're really doing a good job evolving the detail within their sculpt. And speaking of sculpt, I really dig the fact that he's not in a standard pose. I like these unique poses, and I think this is a really good one. I like that they included his little bowling glove thing. But this is certainly cooler than him just standing there with his arms out. And I think they did a good job with the little line that goes along his bowling outfit. Also, I just warn you, some of these, the hand was not properly attached to the bowling ball. So take your time when shopping for a Jesus. Make sure his hand is attached to the ball properly. Good goatee, by the way. I think the paint on the goatee is pretty decent compared to other figures in the past. In case you can't tell, I like this release a lot. I think the sculpting on these is excellent, and the paint is very well done. This joins the ranks in my mind as some of the best Funko Pops. But that's just like my opinion, man. Thanks for watching.